You had a life-changing incident. Can you please tell me about that story and what happened to you?
I died.
Oh my gosh. Wait, you got...
At Fort Smith, I flatlined. And if it wasn't for the storm, they would have taken me to Little Rock, and during that time I would have died because they didn't have intubation equipment on board.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
And, you know, the Bible says, I know the plans that I have for you, says the Lord, plans to prosper and not to harm you. That's something that was just prophetic.
One, isn't it so crazy that you just get to create music for a living? Like, that's what you do now?
It's nut. I wish that I was good at other things.
Yes.
This is the only thing that I'm good at. When you are faithful to the Lord, He is faithful to you.
Okay, your success now, how much does it have to do with your brother, you think?
Everything.
What is up, everybody, and welcome back. This is part 2. Can I call you Gabby?
Yes.
Hello, Gabby.
Hello.
Part 2.
Part 2. I'm long-winded. Sorry.
No, it's not her. The conversation was going so good that I was like, you know what? Let's just break this up into 2, or we're going to have like a really long episode. And I want people to listen to what you have to say because it's all good. Okay, so let's dive back in. First, before we do that, in case for some reason someone just decided to skip to only this episode.
Yes.
Describe who you are, what you do, really quickly.
I am Gabrielle Mooney, stoned now, married, but music name still Mooney. I'm a country singer-songwriter that lives in Arkansas now. Lived in Nashville for 11 years. Crazy. And then I moved back less than 2 years ago now.
Wow.
It's been crazy.
Whoa. Okay. I guess I didn't pick up on that part. You've only been here for 2. Okay.
Yeah.
And don't say anything because I know what happened about where you live yet. We're going to get into that here in a little bit. Okay. But literally we're picking up where we left off. Okay. So let's jump back in. We're going to do part 3. Question 3. So you had a life-changing incident. Can you please tell me about that story and what happened to you?
I died.
Oh my gosh. Wait, you got to say that again while the cameras switch to you.
I died.
Oh my gosh.
Do you like that dramaticness right there?
I have to cry because you died. Oh my gosh. You know what's so funny about
that? It's the best thing that ever happened to me.
What's so funny about that is I'm watching Lost right now. Have you watched Lost before?
No, I haven't. Everyone always tells me about it.
Okay, so I'm super late to the game or whatever. I understand. But
do I need to start?
Well, basically you are one of the characters on that show.
Oh, really?
Basically. I don't want to say too much.
Well, now you've got to.
But if you died and you're here now, you're basically from Lost.
Hey, you know what? Like, people say that I would be a great actress.
I think you would.
You know.
I think you would. Okay, so what's your story? What happened? How'd you die? When'd you die? How long were you dead?
It was so crazy. Honestly, all worth it because I got interviewed by Oprah. Like, worth it.
I know. And it should, that episode, by the way, should be out by now, hopefully.
It'll be out in, I think, a week.
Okay, from today. And so today we're recording on March 27th.
It's like April 4th or something like that.
Before we go any further, just explain what happened there as well before you talk about how you died. Yeah, with Oprah.
So Oprah's real interested in near-death experiences. And as some of your listeners may know, I was on a show called Fixer Fabulous, and they saw my story on Fixer Fabulous that I had a near-death experience. And so they contacted my manager, Deb, and were like, we would love to, pre-interview her and see if it would be a good fit for the show. And so Deb called me, she was like, how would you like to be on Oprah? And I was like, what? Of course. I'm like, no big deal.
Yeah.
Very big deal.
Uh-huh.
And so I got to be on the episode with her. There's Jeremy Renner, a bunch of other people that had near-death experiences.
We have Gabrielle joining us from Natural Dam, Arkansas. She's a country singer who had a near-death experience 2 years ago, just before discovering that you had a brain tumor. Welcome. Take us back to that night your mom found you in the bedroom. growing up.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me, y'all.
But what happened to me is apparently for years and years, I'd been building up fluid on my brain. I had no idea that I had a brain cyst. And so
What year was this, by the way?
This was 2 years ago. So it was in 2023.
Okay.
That all of it went down.
Okay.
But I was coming back from Nashville to my parents' home in Arkansas because my husband had recently moved to Arkansas. Like my dad offered him a job.
Okay.
So before we were married, and he was like, "See ya," real rude. But you know, it was a good thing. And on my drive home, frequently, because it's a 7-hour drive, I would stop somewhere to stop at a hotel if I got tired or anything like that. Well, I got this splitting migraine as I was driving home, and something just the Holy Spirit. You know, kept on telling me, wouldn't you like to, wake up in your own bed? It's going to be Valentine's Day tomorrow in the morning. And, you'll be able to wake up and see your family and all of that. And your sweet hubby, boyfriend at the time. And so I stopped at a gas station and grabbed some Excedrin. And I took that, and I still wasn't doing good. My head was still pounding, but I was determined. I'm a very determined person.
Yeah.
I'm like,
all you Moonies are.
Like we're gonna make it.
I feel like all of you are anyways.
It's fine. I don't know how I made it home, to be honest. It had to have been the Holy Spirit that just like drove my car home. But I get home to my parents and I walk in the door and my mom greets me and I was like, hey, I'm just gonna go to bed. I have a really bad headache, Well, the Holy Spirit wakes her up at 2 a.m. to do laundry. She felt like she needed to do laundry. And the laundry room's right outside my room. And because, of course, you don't stay with a boyfriend.
Yeah, for sure.
You stay in your own room before you're married.
And we know why that is now, knowing your past from the first episode.
Right, exactly.
Big no-no.
Big no-no.
Yeah. And
so I was in the bathroom throwing up, and she heard me. Comes in there, and about that time I started having seizures. As I was telling her, I didn't need to go to the hospital.
Okay.
So, because I don't want any doctors, anything. I would rather die alone, which is horrible because if I was in Nashville, I would have.
Oh wow.
Because nobody was there.
Yes.
And so they had to call a private ambulance company because it was raining that night and storming. They didn't take me to Little Rock where they usually would because of the storm. Mm-hmm. Take me to Fort Smith. At Fort Smith, I flatline.
Whoa.
And they have to intubate me.
Okay.
And if it wasn't for the storm, they would have taken me to Little Rock. And during that time, I would have died because they didn't have intubation equipment on board.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
So just like that, all those things, all the pieces that had to go into that was just God. It was just like he knew, the Bible says, I know the plans that I have for you, says the Lord, plans to prosper and not to harm you. And I think that's Jeremiah 29:11.
Yes.
And, that's something that was just prophetic to that whole situation. So many things happened after that, rainbows and encouragement for my family. But they get me to the hospital in Little Rock. One of the most profound, Dr. Christ, brain surgeons in the United States.
Wow.
Had moved there in order to be a blessing for the students that was there learning. And so he's the one that did my surgery. And so they had to get out. There was 2 huge bags of fluid that came off my brain. And there's a brain cyst that completely covered my head. And people were like, hey, did you get headaches? I was like, yeah. I just thought it was allergies or I have Crohn's. Like I have, for me, it's like, I would rather deal with it in silence than be a Debbie Downer to everybody else. Like, oh, I'm just gonna,
yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not that person. That's the reason it's a good thing God brought me home, because I would have died in silence and been like, I just don't want to bug anybody.
Oh my gosh.
But that's how I got here to Arkansas. After that, I still had rent in Nashville that I was paying, but I just moved back here. I was just with my family, and I moved here not knowing if I would get another deal, and my manager, she found I deal with these amazing, incredible people that I was able to still live here.
Yes.
And get to travel back to Nashville and do what I love. God just had everything already laid out before I knew I needed it.
Yeah. I'm glad you're alive.
Right?
I'm glad you're here.
You would have heard stories about me. She was crazy. She was the crazy Mooney.
Okay, so now that you're alive, you're here. One, isn't it so crazy that you just get to create music for a living? Like, that's what you do now?
It's nuts.
Yeah, that's so cool. How does that make you feel day to day?
You know, honestly, it makes me feel very privileged because I wish that I was good at other things.
Yes.
Like accounting or like other stuff. This is the only thing that I'm good at.
That's that Mooney privilege right there.
It is.
And y'all are music, like y'all all musically talented, except Erica, I think.
Oh, she's got a great voice. Have you never heard her sing?
Okay, Erica has been lying to me.
She's
I think
a liar.
she told me she can't sing.
She tries to do that because she doesn't want people to ask her to sing. Gorgeous voice. Actually, incredible songwriter. We've written a couple of songs together.
Maybe I'm lying.
No, Erica tries not to, like, she keeps it on the DL. She's like, I'm just this boss real estate owner and all this stuff and fashionista. As you can tell, like, I'm a huge supporter of my sister. Like, I'm her biggest fan.
Has it always been like that?
Oh, yes. I cried at her wedding because I was upset that she got married. Not because I was happy for her.
Oh, Lord.
I was upset.
Okay, was there drama between her and Cody?
No.
I mean, you and Cody?
Not at all. I just didn't know him very well. And like, he was 28, she was 21. And I'm 20 months younger than Erica. And so at that time, I called him an old man.
Yeah. How did he respond to that?
I don't think Cody liked me that much.
Okay. Yeah.
For a long time. Mostly because I probably wouldn't have liked me either.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
Yeah.
Like,
you know what's so funny? I was about to make a bad joke. But I knew you would have took a while because you're funny. But I was going to say, because you're talking about how much fluid you had in your head and how many bags they had to carry out. And talking about who you were before.
Now I can blame it on the brain.
Yeah, you literally were walking around with a big head.
I literally do that, though, all the time. I'm like, I'm sorry, brain surgery. If I forget somebody's name, I'm like, sorry, brain surgery. Like, and what are you going to say to that?
Yeah, that's so funny.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. That's
True
so
story.
funny. That's crazy. Okay, let's rewind back a little bit because we actually didn't talk about the process of when you actually got signed and all of those different things.
Yeah.
I don't know that story. So what happened? And then the hard question.
Yes.
Are you ready for the hard question? How much of you getting signed had to do with your brother's success?
Yes. So I actually have never signed a major label deal.
Okay.
And I don't want to either, unless it's just like makes so much sense. In my world, I'm signed right now to an amazing pub company and a label that is independent.
Okay.
And the reason I'm such a big fan of that is because I want all creative control to go to me and my team. I build a team around me of people. My dad taught me this. You surround yourself with people that are better than you at things.
Yes.
You know, and you can't be everything to everyone. You have to surround yourself with people that are going to make you better.
Yes.
And to me, a lot of times what labels will do is they put their people with you and you're just kind of a manufactured thing that comes out the door and all they care about is recouping their money.
Yes.
They don't care about your success. They care about their money and what they're doing. And what they'll typically do is they will sign an artist and hopefully that artist will do something on their own. And when that artist does have some success on their own, then they promote that artist further. There's no development. Okay. There's no, let's find you good songs and who you are as an artist. They're like, who are you as an artist? And if that works on radio, awesome. And if it doesn't, then we'll drop you. And that's what happens. And so for me, I didn't want to do that. I
want to, if you can please remember where you are in your story. I do want to give some context to what you're talking about and why this is so important. I believe it's Ed Sheeran I was just listening to on a podcast, I think maybe yesterday. he said that, like, literally he did is, if it's not him, I'm sorry, it's someone else who's as big as him. They're like, their biggest thing that they had to do, or the best thing they ever done, was artist development, which for them was 2 years, no, not paid. So like literally, like, that's pretty common that an artist will go into artist development and they would just follow another artist around, kind of like an apprenticeship, and literally just hover around them and get to know what they're doing, work on songs. This is all for free.
Yes.
And they would go through this process of artist development so that they are more equipped when they get to, when they're an artist. So it's kind of a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
Artist development is. So you're saying you skip past that.
Oh, they don't do it anymore.
Okay.
The labels, they do not do artist development.
Okay.
You as an artist have to develop yourself.
Wow.
And so that's the reason that labels are so confused about what's going to hit and what's not going to hit, because they don't know how to develop an artist anymore. And they don't know the whole TikTok world, all this stuff. But for me, music was never about me getting famous. Music was never about me being like all over the world or anything like that. Music to me was me sharing my music with people that could relate to it and would listen to it and be like, that's the soundtrack of this one little specific moment in my life.
Yeah.
You know, like, this boyfriend that I had is so that song. You know, like, that's what I wanted to do, is to have my experiences become somebody else's and them to be able to relate to it. And so I think so many people are so caught up with becoming famous that they don't allow themselves to feel all those things and develop themselves as an artist and be able to write those kind of songs and connect with their audience in that way, not just in a, hey, look at me, I'm cool and I've got a cool outfit on and, you know, I'm singing these songs that these really talented songwriters wrote for me.
Yes.
It's your experiences.
Yes.
Not saying that, you know, I don't want all these other artists to pick up some of my songs, because please do.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, for sure. Okay, so, but when did that moment happen for you where you did sign to the publishment company that you're in now? Publishment company, right?
A publishing company, yeah.
Yeah, that you're with now. When did that happen?
So I was with a different publishing company before, loved them to pieces. But this company I signed with pretty recently, not too long ago. And me and Deb, who she's my manager for forever. And the reason I'm so about like finding your team, you have to have people that you trust, you love, or like family. That's just how I am. And I'm people are not disposable. People are relationships. And so she had met these people that were starting a publishing company, and it's me and the Swan Brothers and a couple other people. And their biblical and spiritual backing was what got me.
Yes.
Is they were like, everything that we do is from a God mindset. And that changed everything for me. Because I was like, when your foundation is the Lord, you can't fail. It doesn't matter if you have a number one or not. You as a artist are going to be successful, whether it be, you know, with a specific song or what your purpose is in life. Because God is the forefront and he's the one driving the ship.
Yeah, for sure. Did they work with like worship teams, bands? Like, was their primary like artists?
No,
before?
not at all. We write Christian music as well, but they are, you know, mostly country and worship Christian. So as a publishing company, we don't have any like Christian artists specifically on the label, but we write for Christian artists and stuff. So that's what's fun.
That's actually pretty unique in the music industry, because a lot of people try to stay away from the religious side of it unless they're going to go full in, you know. And what I mean is like literally worship. Like, okay, like we're going to work with churches, we're going to work with worship teams. But like because there are so many artists who are Christians, so many, but you would never know.
Oh, 100%.
Especially through their music. You would have to know that individual. So the fact that, you know, that is a focus on the forefront kind of kind of wild, honestly.
Yeah. No, that was the thing, is it was total God thing that, we found these people, that Deb, found them and became connected with them. Like, they are so sweet. His name's AJ, the guy that heads it. And he's young, but his head is on so straight.
Yeah.
And like, you can tell that his dad, which I met his dad, very similar to how we grew up, and very similar to how our family is so close and connected. And creating a family like that within the music world, it makes such a difference when you can connect with each other on a spiritual level. Oh my gosh. Like, there's no substitute.
Yeah.
For something like that,
Yeah, for sure. Okay, going back to the main question, you didn't answer it.
Oh.
Gabby, you didn't answer it.
Oh, no.
Okay, your success now, how much does it have to do with your brother, you think?
Everything.
Yeah?
Absolutely everything. And it has nothing to do with what people think it is. Like, the thing is it's not just my brother, it's my brother and my sister. If it wasn't for them two being my biggest cheerleaders and getting me through, like, I send them music all the time. Like, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? And if it wasn't for them being my encouragement,
yes,
then I wouldn't be here doing what I'm doing still. Like, as far as my brother being, famous and all that stuff, like, I have separated myself completely not because I'm not so freaking proud of him and everything. He's the coolest.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Oh my gosh, his voice is unbelievable.
Yes.
When people are like, so, when you and Shay sing, do you guys like compete and stuff? I was like, oh, his voice is way better than mine. Like, there is no competition.
Yeah.
His range
do y'all find fun in that? Like, I'm imagining like it's Christmas time and the whole family's together. Like, do y'all not just, sing? I don't know, just like you're hanging out together and you sing or you play music together.
We play music all the time. I have to say, it's more of me harmonizing with Shay and being like, how does he hit that note?
Yeah.
Like, I have been privileged to be able to get advice from somebody that's done so well in the music industry. And the biggest thing for me is I have never wanted Shay to be anything but my brother. And I've never used him for, connections or any sort of like, in fact, I changed my artist name for a while to Lyrics for my writer's name, because I didn't want people to try to use me to get to Shay. It wasn't because I wasn't proud of who my brother was. It was because I never wanted Shay to feel as if I was his responsibility.
Yes, for sure.
I wanted him to feel like I'm his sister. And that's all I'm at, that's all I need to be. And I would listen to everything advice he would give me with, gratefulness, because he has so much experience in this world that not many people have access to.
Yeah, 100%.
And so I take all of his advice seriously, but I'll never forget. Somebody was, when I first moved to Nashville and before I was dating anyone, these guys, like, all these people were interested in me. I was like, oh, I'm like, wow, I must be like super beautiful.
Yeah.
And,
yes, queen.
One of the first dates.
Oh God.
This guy was like, oh, actually, I have this demo that I just wrote. He's like, it sounds so much like a Dan and Shay song.
Oh, no.
And I was like,
you slimy snakes. Oh my gosh.
It's like, so what you're saying is it's not me. Like,
oh, no. Oh, no.
So, I mean, here I was, like, ego was up,
Yeah.
Like, and then I was like, oh,
yeah.
You want me to give this song to Shay till you get a cut, And so,
oh no.
So I found out real quick that people are a little slimy, and so I didn't want people to use me to get to Shay, because I always wanted. That's my brother. I don't want him to feel like I'm his safe place.
Yeah, 100%.
As well. Yeah. Like, I don't want him to feel like every time he hangs out with me, it's going to be another favor, Like, that's horrible.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that.
I want to compliment y'all for a second. So specifically you, but really your whole family. I had a chance to talk with Erica, too, on this show, actually. And I feel like that's something y'all have done super well. It's like, how do you separate yourself from this very well-known individual person who you love dearly, who you're so proud of, but you don't want to be a tool to get to them, and you also don't want to be saw as a tool to them.
Right.
And so I feel like y'all have done that in such a godly way. It's like, no, I'm proud of you. And if something happens online, I'm going to like be shouting your praises, but also like, I'm not going to use you to get somewhere where God doesn't want me to go yet, because God will open that door for me. Have you ever accidentally tried to open that door though? Because I imagine that would be hard. And what was that like?
Honestly, no, I never have. And I think the thing for me was being so scared that it would affect my relationship with Shay.
Yeah.
And Shay has done nothing but be like, I'll open all these doors for you. You know what I mean? Like, he's been the one, and I will not learn anything, and I wouldn't have if it wasn't for me going through it myself. My journey is not his journey. His journey is not mine.
Yes.
And I can't learn things that he has learned from his experiences. I can only learn from my own flaws, failures, and triumphs. That's the only thing that, we are required to do as individuals and as Christians, is to walk our walk. 100%. And trying to jump on somebody else's path because it's smoother doesn't mean that that is your path. It just means that you skipped the line to walk somebody else's path, and eventually you got to get back to your own. So I just decided that I would just pave my own way and make sure that everything that he did say and advice he would give me, I listened.
Yeah.
And being humble enough to know that you ain't crap.
Yeah, for sure.
But you also ain't nothing either.
Yeah. 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 Something that came into my head now, and I don't even know where I'm going to end with this thought, but you said you're a visual person. I am very much, like, our brains are exactly the same. The way you described, that song in the way of a picture, I do the same exact thing. It's sometimes the only way I can describe things. But I just had one in my head now. And when I think about your family dynamic, I think about like the disciples with Jesus. Like, a lot of people are super interested in only Jesus. They're only, and we're supposed to be obviously like, Jesus is the GOAT, and especially when you're reading the story, he's the GOAT. You're reading about him. But what I find super interesting is the people who were around Jesus to help him accomplish the goals he was supposed to accomplish on this earth. And so, Shay, if you're listening to this, don't get too big of a head, but I'm just going to compare him to Jesus in this scenario and just say, okay, like fame-wise, whatever.
His voice is a mixture of Fergie and Jesus, so you know what I'm saying?
Okay, so fame-wise, all the different things, he's Jesus in this scenario.
Yes.
And I find you and Erica to be so interesting because especially in this scenario, for him to get to where he is now, he had to be following a path where, Jesus was there, but also like for him to be, he doesn't even care about being famous. He doesn't, like, he just wants, it seems like, I don't know, I haven't had a chance to talk with him yet, but like he wants to make music. He wants to do all these different things. I'm super curious of the people who were around him his whole life to help him get to the point to where he is today. So when I talk to you and Erica, I'm like, okay, like I see the stepping stool or the support beam to his success now, which is so cool. But also these people
Shay,
are separate.
You're welcome. No.
You only got to where you are because of me.
If it wasn't for me.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, I found y'all individually separately. I guess is what I'm saying. And in some cases, even more interesting than maybe like what because I can easily imagine what his lifestyle could look like if he wanted, or even does look like now. But for y'all, I'm like, okay, who are these people? Because they you can't just search Mooney and like they're gonna pop. Like, that's not the thing, And so who are they? What are they about? And as I keep getting to know you, I'm like, okay, these people are actually very, very interesting. The worst thing that ever happened to them is not the fact that we talked about this in the first episode.
Well, I did die.
You did die. Yeah.
I'm going to bring that up 50 more times.
Okay.
Brain surgery.
Now I just feel terrible because, I said nothing bad happened to you, but literally you died.
You're so right. That's the thing is like, being a support system. And our family is so unique and we're just so stinking blessed with us because my parents have put Jesus in the center of everything that we do.
Yeah.
And it's so sad to see families that all want to be so far away from each other. They don't want anything to do with that part of the family or, whatever it is. But the way our family raised us, my mom and dad raised us, was to love Jesus first, love your family, and, put God in the center of everything that you do. Now, all of us just want to be around each other.
Yes.
Like we're each other's biggest fans. And it has everything to do with that foundation we had growing up. Like when I go to a Dan Shay show, people are like, "Oh, are you a little jealous?" I'm like, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah, for sure.
I am the one with like a homemade T-shirt.
Yeah.
Me and Erica were so incredibly proud of him because he is unbelievably talented. God has given him this unbelievable gift to connect to people.
Yeah.
That in a way that most people can't.
Yeah.
And like, dear Lord, those notes.
Yes.
And in the same way, me and Erica were given different gifts of ways to connect to people, but all of us are meant to reach people in the way that God has blessed us with.
Yes.
And us as siblings all recognize that. And so therefore, we're so supportive of each other with whatever we do. I could be having a tomato garden and my family would be the most proud of those tomatoes.
Yes. Yes.
Any family member could ever be, because if that's what, I thought my purpose was, my family would be back in that 110%. Be like, you grow those beefy tomatoes.
Yes.
We're proud of you.
Okay, so while we're on this note of complimenting Shay, you're welcome. One of the things, going back to the scenario, the analogy that I was giving about Shay being Jesus.
Yes. The Fergie of our time.
Okay, is that the fact that, when you actually read, like, the Gospels, that's the word I've been looking for. When you read the Gospels, you're hearing about Jesus through the story in the eyes of the individuals who are around him. So I'll say this, you just talked about how people tried to get to Shay through you. Erica's talked about that before. It's unfortunate that happens. I really am sorry that happens.
People try to get to Erica too.
Yeah.
I'm over here like, don't you worry.
Yeah. And by that, on the way, actually, this interview is only about me getting tickets to a show.
Oh, I knew it.
Do you mind?
I knew it. I brought them. No,
No, but seriously. Okay, so on that note, though, I would say that even I've met Shay, but I don't know him nearly as much as I'm knowing you and Erica now. I respect him so much more now, getting to know who he is through your eyes, because I feel like all of you, actually, because your dad has his own success. Like, he really does. Like, all of you really have gotten somewhere that, for what we live in Fort Smith, Arkansas, a lot of people haven't gotten or dreamed to get to. But I feel like you're offered, or you could be offered, by Satan, like, this pedestal of, like, yeah, I'm going to sit on this throne. Yeah, I do make music for a living. And definitely Shay, like, he definitely could be like, yeah, this is my life. I'm going to be riding around in a G-Wagon. I'm going to be, like, posting on Instagram. This is who I am. Every single photo is going to be, like, a model-ish shot.
Right.
But that's not he hasn't chosen to take that lifestyle. You go and you look at him and you get to know him. This man really does care about his family. Like, it's probably the only thing, that he really deeply cares about, his family, and he gets to express himself through music. And I'm sure he loves that, just as much, obviously. He doesn't seem depressed about his job.
Right.
But I don't know if I would have known that is if I would have just immediately gone and gotten to know him.
Yeah.
So basically what I'm telling everybody is if you really want to get to know Shay, you have to go through his sister.
Yeah, you have to go through us. You have to come forth with a gift. Diamonds.
Oh my God.
Diamonds prefer. Chickens will work too.
Chickens. Okay,
I love my chickens.
I really want to photograph and video y'all's animals.
You
I don't know.
should.
We need a
You
purpose
should.
first of what we're gonna do with it. But yeah, I think that'd be so
The
cool.
podcast header. Me
Just
and
like little
Fred,
chicken-
my rooster.
Do you have names for them?
Oh yeah, I have Nellie. She's nervous, Nellie, because like she's
Oh
like
my gosh.
runs around. She's a poopy head. Then I have Fred. He's my rooster. He loves me. Then I have Brenda, which is named after my Aunt Bee because she's very like clean and
Yes.
she's also got great style with her feathers. And then I have Miranda, which is my other aunt, who she's my by far best mother hen. And in my head, my Aunt Miranda is just such a great mom figure.
Yeah.
Like she's just the best. She's my Goldie. So oh yeah, I have names for all of them. But going back to what you said about like the family and everything, here's something that my mom did.
Okay.
And she was just absolutely the best mom ever. And I find that a lot of parents have a hard time with raising their kids because they just want their children to be smart, grow up, you know, in the way that they want to do everything right. You know, like
Yeah.
you want your kids to be smart. You want them to be nice. You want them to have a good job and get married well. And the difference between a lot of those thoughts is my parents, my mom especially, she was like, take whatever you are most talented in of what you're passionate about and run with that. She never made us feel like, because I was terrible at math and science,
Yes.
they're like, I needed to hone in on that super hard. She was like, you know, do well in that, study it. But she didn't make that my priority or
Yes.
my, you know, focus is becoming good at the things that I may have been lacking. She encouraged the things that I was passionate about, like writing and
Yes.
music. She cultivated that and encouraged us that, you know, money is not everything. Money is just a thing that we need to survive. Work as hard as you can. You know, you can have 3 jobs and still have what you're passionate about. It's never about what's going to make you the most money or marrying wealthy or any of that. It's all about your relationship with God, number one, and following his plan for your life. So if that didn't make a lot of money, oh well.
That's so cool.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, and from his perspective too, you know, like when did he tell you that? How old were you think?
Oh, I have no idea.
And I'm not sure it was actually something that it could be something that he didn't tell you. It's just you got the vibe over time that this is what my parents want for me. But when is that moment? How old were you when you think you got it from them?
I was only like 8 or 9, where it was just like, it wasn't even a second thought. It was just, this is the way that it is.
Yeah.
It's not, you know, like this conscious decision. It's just, this is the way that life should be. And my family just never made us feel inferior for being more creative, or they just always encouraged. My mom always encouraged our creativity.
Yes. I could be very wrong with the timeline, but the reason why I'm saying it's so important that was happening and they were communicating that to you at that time is because when I listened to your dad on Erica's podcast, he was describing, like, I think around that same age that you were, they were going through financial difficulties.
Yes.
At that same time. So for him to say, I'm going to put God, I'm going to put these things above financial gains.
Yes.
And I want my family to also do the same when they become my age or younger. That's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, because he was in the middle of the storm at that point.
Yes.
And he's saying, you know what? Money isn't everything.
Yes.
But like he needed money.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of crazy to think about.
And that's the thing that I learned so much from my parents is they never put their financial issues on us. We never knew about finances. That wasn't a thing. And I encourage all parents to never allow your kids in on that part of life, because that will become a stressor for them throughout the rest of their lives of financial insecurity.
Okay.
And, you know, it was completely like, hey, Yeah, we might be eating beans and cornbread, but we're happy. Happiness and joy is not just an emotion or a feeling. It is a mindset.
Yes.
And when you put yourself in that mindset of like, God is in control, number one, and I'm going to put all my trust into him. And it's not just the things that I can't control. It's the things that I can as well, like finances.
Yes.
And knowing that pay your tithes.
Yes.
I am very, like, my mom has always said this, that even when they couldn't afford to pay their tithes, they would pay them. And the reason that is because God only asks that of us.
Yes.
It's only 10%.
Yes.
And when you're faithful to him in that, the blessings just fall. And, you know, people think I'm crazy when I say that, but my family has been very faithful to the Lord with their tithes, even when things were not well.
Yes.
And when they were struggling to do that. And they've always instilled that in us and been like, be faithful to the Lord and he will be faithful to you.
That's so hard. Yes, I agree with you. My heart is definitely in the same place. But when I think about that in practice at scale, it just the numbers get crazy to me.
Yeah.
Because you can imagine, like, you know, a person listening to this podcast. I'm not saying that poor people listen to my podcast. But let's say the majority of people on average, you know, looking up the average salary in Fort Smith, is pretty bad. Like, it was actually, I want to say like $45,000 or $55,000 household. That's the average for Fort Smith. So when you break that up, right, and you think about that, I mean, that comes down to well under, I think it's like $3,000, maybe like $4,000 a month. So you think about paying tithe on that, you know, after taxes go out. It's not that crazy.
Right.
But when you experience the success and the wealth, you know, that comes from God when you put him first. And sometimes it happens because the devil promotes people to get them further away from God too. That's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
But when you get to that place where, you know, maybe it's not that much, but it's $10,000 a month.
Yeah.
It's $20,000 a month. That tithe check is huge.
Right.
That is an employee's salary.
Yeah.
That you're giving to God. Like literally, that's an employee's salary. That's someone else you could hire.
Right.
And you're deciding, I'm going to give this to God.
Yes.
Not that I'm trying to get into everyone's financial business, but I'm sure at some point, and I think at some point you could have experienced that. How did you navigate that? Or was it so ingrained in you at that moment from your parents that it was like, it wasn't even a thing to think twice about it?
See, with me, it was so ingrained. It was, the big thing is you don't look at that as a payment. You don't look at it as a payment. You don't even think about the money that you have left. You take it off the top and are like, but the reason I'm so passionate about it, and it's very uncomfortable for pastors to talk about these days because, you know, with financial insecurity and stuff, like it's for the good pastors.
Yeah,
for the good pastors,
For
you
sure.
know, the ones that are like name it, claim it big, you know,
for sure.
that they're like, give us more money. And you're like, you just spent $20,000 on a freaking trike thing,
Bruh,
you know,
you
like
just bought a private jet.
exactly. You're just like, come on now, you know, but it's harder for, especially pastors around here because they have so much compassion for their congregation. And for me, this is the only thing that God has asked of us as Christians. And I have seen my parents be so faithful. And my dad has probably told you, you know, with the 2008 crisis, all of the things that went on with the housing crisis and stuff, how God made a way for him to get into commercial real estate and commercial, you know, dealings and stuff. And when you are faithful to the Lord, he is faithful to you. So when I look at somebody like, you know, Job in the Bible, where God had blessed him tenfold, all this stuff, and he went through all this different stuff, and all he had to do was just curse God. The wife said, just curse God and tell him what. And I hate that the woman did it because I'm like, we're not all that way.
Yeah, for sure.
When she was telling him to just curse God, and Job still stayed loyal. That's the way that I view tithing during the tough times.
Yes.
Is saying, this is this is harder, but I'm not even going to look at that because you have been so good to me and you are always faithful and loyal to me. I will not steal from you.
Okay.
And that is the way that tithing, and my parents taught me how tithing is. If you do not tithe, it is stealing from God. It is the only thing that he's asked us to do. And so instead of working it into your finances, you got to work your finances around what's left.
Okay. Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah.
That's not a bill.
Yeah.
That's just something that comes out. And a lot of people, they're like, oh, well, we can't afford it. How do you know? Because there's been situations for me where, I have my check come in and I'm like, okay, God, this is going to be a little tougher, this month. And, and God knows about it, but I still write that check, still send it off. And then all of a sudden that same day, like for instance, this is something that happened a couple years ago, is I paid my tithes and I knew it was going to be a little, because my health insurance is like $750 a month. It is really, really expensive,
sure. Yeah.
And I was like, okay, God, this is going to be a little challenging, or I'm going to be eating some, beans and cornbread again,
Yeah.
And a royalty check came in. That was that exact amount.
Wow.
And so when you are faithful to the Lord and you trust him with your money, that is something that's very hard for us to do, is to trust him with our money when we don't have very much of it.
Yes.
Yes. Because when we have a lot of it, we feel like we can be generous.
Yes.
But when we don't, we're like, ooh. So when we trust God with not just our life and our, when we trust him with our things.
Yes.
And we love God more than we love the money that we have, because that's what we're doing, whether we want to believe it or not, is when we do not tithe and when we do not trust God with that, we are telling him that we don't trust him.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And so I think a lot of people have a problem talking about the tithes thing, because so many pastors, it's like hard but you do not have to, the Bible does not say you have to pay your tithes to a church. You pray and see where God wants those tithes to go. If it is your church, that's amazing. And sometimes God will lead you to giving it to an organization, a person,
yes.
Any kind of thing like that. God has led me to do things like that before. He'll speak to you. But my parents always taught us that you have to trust God with everything that's valuable to you, not just the things that you can do without, or, like, oh yeah, God, I trust you with my Nikes,
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's something I've really, and I don't even know where I fall yet. I want to jump back into some of these questions in a second, but I don't even know where I fall yet with this. I know where I land right now, but it's not necessarily where I will always be. Is I really struggle earlier this year with tithing to a church. And I really had to think about that and pray about it. And I called some pastors and I got some discipleship on that.
Yeah.
But it's hard for me because I'm super missional.
Yes.
Like, I really do believe in God reaching people who haven't heard his name before.
Yes.
And people don't understand that that's like an actual real thing. And I've been to those places. I've literally been to Africa. I've been to Asia. I've been to places where literally those people have never heard the name Jesus. Like, literally never heard the name Jesus, never even seen a white person before.
Yeah.
Like, these are places where people live. They literally worship the devil. They literally sacrifice their kids to Satan because he told them to. Like, these are real places. And so it's hard for me to give my money to a church and then, for a mission trip or something, or whatever it may be. And then, like, they come back from a mission trip, and this happened at the church I go to, and I just wasn't super happy about it. I haven't talked to the administration about it or anything. So, but you hear conversations, and the kids will come back, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I went on this mission trip, and God did this in my life, and blah 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 blah." And like, my response to that is, listen. I love you, whoever you're talking. But I don't give a crap about what God did in your life, American person who has everything made. What did God do in the people's lives?
Yes.
Like, let's talk about that from the stage.
Oh,
Why are we not? So am I paying money for you to go have an experience that you can literally, if you tried hard enough, you could have that same experience with God here.
Yes.
Is that what I'm paying for?
Right.
And so I really struggle, and I still do. That's still in my mind now, because every single time these people come back from these mission trips, this is what I'm hearing about. And two, like if you look it up and you look at the statistics, missionaries actually say it is so much more harmful for the community for these churches to be doing short-term mission trips.
Right.
It's not good.
Instead of going and setting up churches.
And we actually give 80% of the money that we give to missions in America goes to Americans going on mission trips rather than actually going to the mission.
Yes. That's the reason
horrible.
I love Mission SOS so much, is because they would go and establish churches.
Yes.
Like when you are just leaving people with no shepherd.
Yes.
And just like go in there and be like, oh, we're going to have this really cool day or week.
Yeah.
And then see ya.
Yes.
You know, good luck. I hope you don't get killed by the rogue, gangs that are in the, jungles because you love Jesus. But, that could be also when you have a feeling like that and being like, there's something wrong. There's a check in your spirit of like, that is uncomfortable to you. And so many times, we ignore that check.
Yes.
And we're like, oh, I'm sure that they mean well or whatever. Sometimes that check is to be like, actually, that's something that I would like you to change.
Yeah.
I think yours could go, God could bring a mission to your mind or to your attention or something that your tithes should go to.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing, is like being open to what God's leading is, and knowing that just because you've been taught like, oh, it's got to be to a church or it's got to be to this,
100%.
doesn't mean it has to be. The Bible does not say that. It says give 10% to the Lord.
Yeah.
It doesn't say to your church.
Yeah.
It's giving us, it is a way for us to walk in obedience without even having to think about it, because that is automatically what we're supposed to do. And so a lot of times, just be like, God, I just need to know what your will is for my tithing, because I feel really uncomfy about this. And then boom, you meet somebody and you're like, whoa, it's a lot about the ask. So many times we pray generally and we forget to ask for specific things, because we're like, oh, God doesn't, care about that. But a pastor said one time, I can't remember where it was, but he was like, so many times we do not get what we need because we do not ask.
Yes.
And we just kind of expect God to read our mind. And it's just like with your dad, or your mom. And, as a parent, your kid is like looking at this, pony or ice cream or whatever, and just, looks at it. And then you ask them what they want for their birthday, and they're like, oh, whatever. And you're like, I saw that you were into these things, but when you don't ask for anything,
yes,
and you're like, you have to ask in his will.
Yes.
Like, if it be your will, this is something that, would be great for you to resolve, whatever that looks like.
Yes.
To you. It's asking. It's being specific about our prayers. Because God reads our mind and he knows what we're thinking, but he's waiting for us to ask.
Yes. So you're talking about like what the tithe says about coming from, it says give 10%. So I want to give some context to what the rest of it says too. It says to the storehouse. And so it says give 10% to the storehouse. I think is the actual, I know it says that it may not be immediately after, but it's within that passage. And so people don't really understand breaking it down in like translation.
Right.
What the storehouse is.
Right.
So people just default to the church. And I think that's like Western thinking.
Yeah, it is.
Much Eastern. So that being said, where I land now is I did pray about it. I called, I read about it. Like, and I called people who are spiritual authorities to me.
Yeah.
And I just asked them about it. I told them how I felt. And where I land now is I personally, biblically, I feel free to choose.
Yes.
But personally right now, I think it could have a lot to do with just how I was raised. That, okay, I'm going to still continue to tithe to the church. However, there are definitely areas like I know these people who are going to talk to people. Like I literally know these people who are sharing Jesus to people who've never heard it before in Africa. Like I know these people. So I'm trusting God and I'm building brands. I'm building companies. I'm using my talents to say, okay, God, I'm going to continue to honor you here as long as I feel that that's what I'm supposed to do. If it changes, I'll change. But I'm going to trust you. Because whether I'm right or wrong in what I'm doing, you know my heart is good, that you will give me more than what I need. So that I can also give to these places which 100% need my support.
Yeah.
I feel that they also, if not more, need my support. So God, like, just bless me financially. So that's why, I joke about it a lot, but I'm like, no, I will be rich. And that's why. Because God needs to use me, and he has spoken that to me. He will use me. I just need to make sure that when that point comes, and as it comes, and as I feel like it's going to be a growing thing, right?
Yes.
That I'm ready to hold what God has for me. Because I could just take all that money, right?
Right.
And I could be like, ball out,
right.
Cybertruck, mansion,
yeah, for sure.
Go hang out with Justin Bieber, whatever it is, all the desires of my heart, I could just go buy him.
Right.
And so honestly, I feel like I'm not there yet because I feel like years don't even have to do with it, but I am pretty young, so I still have years to go. But also, God's just making sure that my hands are big enough to hold it.
Yes. Oh, that's a good way to put it.
And I really do think that's what it is. So that's like right now, those are the reasons why I go to counseling.
Yes.
Those are the reasons why I have these conversations, because when I talk to you, I actually see a lot in myself that I need to fix. Everyone. It doesn't even matter.
I feel the same way. It's like building blocks are meant to fit together.
Yes.
And, when you see the structure that you want to be, like, utilizing kind of the things that other people have been through.
Yes.
To lay the foundation for your own.
Yes.
It is a big deal. And, just with what you were saying of like, your hands being big enough to hold it, that's huge, because our family as a whole has, been blessed beyond anything that we could ever imagine. We've also been through more than a lot of people could imagine. Mm-hmm. And when Shay was blessed with his, he built me my house.
Yes. Let's talk about that.
Like I was on Fixer to Fabulous, and Shay and my dad, they took this little house. We were like literally looking at like how to epoxy countertops because I couldn't afford to I was spending so much money on medical bills that like, I was like, okay, I can do DIY, because mom and dad gave us that house. So we were like, that's incredible, and
sorry, can I pause you for just a second? Because I do want you to tell that story, but you said something in the same question that came to me before. How do you feel so comfortable talking about your lack of finances when your brother is who he is? And the reason why I ask that is because it really is something that I'm curious about, because I think a lot of people, if it were me, I could see that from a couple different perspectives. Yeah. Let's just say my brother was Shay. Mm-hmm. Obviously people can just go, he's so big that you can literally just go to Google, look up his net worth. Right. If it's anywhere around there, he's well off. For sure. You know what I mean? Like, oh, yeah. So I would feel like I would have so many questions of insecurities going through my head. How can I be honest with friends about where I am financially and not make my brother look bad? Right. Or that's one perspective. Or one, what does it look like to me? Like, how stupid do I look or feel to other people saying where I am financially, that I'm not rich, and I have access to my brother who I do love? Are they going to think I'm lying about our relationship? All those different things. So how do you do that? And do you even understand where I'm coming from? I do. I totally get where you're coming from. And I think that's what's so special about my family is we're all freaking go-getters. Yeah, we are like little hustlers, like nobody's business. And all of us are just encouraging each other, like do the best you can. But on the same side, I am so grateful that my family is not like, oh, where's my money? Where's my money? You know what I mean? Yeah, like, for sure. It's my whole family is super generous. Yes. Like everything that I have, my nieces can have, my nephews can have, like anything that Shay has. If I was like, oh, like, but the thing is we're cheerleaders
for each other. It's like we want to see each other be successful, but also we don't worry about each other because we're all super go-getters. Like we're going to do what God has for us. But it's just money has never, ever been a priority for us. And that's something that I'm very grateful that my family and my parents raised us with, because it wasn't like money was this just object that was just like, it was this necessity.
Yes, for sure.
And it was like, you hustle because you love what you do. You hustle because you enjoy it. We're just built that way.
Yes.
But Shay and his money and Erica and her money, because she's been super successful.
Yes,
like,
for sure.
I'm so freaking proud of her. And so are my mom and dad. In fact, my mom, she has her own little farm business, like she has, I know.
Okay. I haven't gotten to meet her yet. And
you're going to die.
Yeah.
You're going to die. She's adorable. You have to come to the farm.
I know. I want to come.
Because mom was milking the cows the other day and I went down and helped her.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm really good at this. I forgot.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Which I am. But, it's like Shay could be a multi-billionaire and I don't want any of his money.
Yeah.
I think it's just the way that we were raised.
Yeah.
And being like, none of us are jealous of each other. And I see other families that are, and I'm like, that is so unfortunate. That would stink.
Yeah.
And
the real reason why I ask these questions like this, because they are.
People want to know.
I wish it was that, but it's really, I want to know. And I feel like people aren't asking themselves this question enough. Like, what would happen if I was in that position?
Yeah.
Because people do get in that position and their families fall apart.
Yeah.
Most of them, if not all of them, unfortunately. And so I think that if these are things we can think about before God fills our hands, then maybe when we get to where our hands are full, we still have all the things we love and actually care about and should care about still around us and available to us. Our family, the things that mattered before money, all of those different things. Because I think when money comes, oh my gosh, it's just so hard to lose yourself. Yes. So hard to lose yourself. And especially for me, like when money comes and I'm not rooted in Jesus in that season, I literally don't know who I am. Yeah. And I almost try to buy myself a new identity. Yes. Like literally, I try to buy myself a new identity, right? So it comes in things like, okay, I want to feel like someone would want to be like. Yeah. I'm going to go buy something that makes me feel super about myself. Yeah. Kind of like a chicken ruffling its feathers. Like that's Fred. How I feel. Yeah. Like I'm not to Fred. And I don't even know consciously that's what's going through my mind. All I know is that I'm awake at 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, and I'm on Amazon scrolling, looking for clothes. And I never do that, Or I'm like, okay, how can I buy this car? I never do. These are things I never do. And so for me, when those moments come, I have to remind myself what I'm routed in, what is my firm foundation, and it is Jesus. And then when I look at him, it's a mirror, right? Yes. I look and my eyes bounce back to myself and I'm like, oh, that's who I am. Yeah. Okay. I'm good. Yeah. It's so funny. Me and Jesus actually have the same initials. Do you? JC. What? Are you comparing yourself to the Lord? No, I'm comparing Shay to the Lord. Remember? Shay was. Oh my God. Well, I'll tell you something that was very interesting. Okay. So I told you I died. Like it was a thing. Yes. And I will say, after that whole experience, when I came out of it, it was like, and I don't know if it was just the brain cyst that was gone, Yeah. But it was, I did come so close to death, and I was in the in-between that when I came to and I was back in the real world and all that stuff, like Bell's palsy, like nobody's business. My poor husband had to, shut my eyeball when I was sleeping. Yeah. He still loved me. Also, can you imagine? I do want to say that you said that on the Oprah podcast, and that was the only time. I don't even know. If I'm allowed to say. But that was the only time out of everyone else that she like audibly like laughed on camera. I was like, oh my gosh. And they came back around and joked about it at the end that you said that. Yes.
They did.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I'm telling you, like, that is love right there.
Yes.
And like, I just, went through so much of that. But like, when you go through a near-death experience and you come out on the other side, it's just like so many things of the world seem so stupid.
Oh, yes.
It really does. It's like when you come that close to death and there is that peace and there's that, calm that you didn't know existed, on the other side or whatever. You've heard about it.
Yes.
But like feeling it is a whole different thing. Coming out of that, everything seems so trivial.
Yes.
And you realize the things and people that do not matter. And it's not that you don't care about them and love them. It's just that if they do not feed good things into your life, it's just like they don't matter.
Yeah.
In the ways that you thought they should. Money, things and things that you're not taking with you when you go are just become so dumb.
Yeah.
And it's not to say I don't love style and fashion. Erica, she has the best style.
Yeah.
Like, she has incredible style. I have a more little punk rock country girl style, whatever it is. I tried to dress different for Oprah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But, it's just, I have my own thing. I love my own stuff and all that. But like, knowing that things and possessions, we said this ever since we were little, and love people more than things.
Yes.
And when God and other people come before, all the stuff, it becomes a different mindset.
Yes.
Doesn't mean you don't like to get stuff. Doesn't mean that you don't want cool clothes and all that. It doesn't mean that you can't make that like fun.
Yes.
But it does mean that you change your outlook on being a priority.
Yes. And I do want to say this to people. Like, if you're in a place right now where you're listening to this and you can just take a moment and hear what she's saying right now, because it's so important that you understand and really grasp what she's saying, because you don't have to go through a near-death situation like she did to get to where she is. Like, you don't have to do that. You don't have to go try to take all the drugs in the world to fill the hole that's empty. You don't have to go try to get all the money that you can to fill the holes that are empty. You can just hear what she's saying and know that the crap doesn't matter. It's just crap. And that when you get to the other side of heaven, when you cross all the way over permanently, not like her when she comes back, your soul, that's it. That's all that's going to be on the other side of that line. For me, I have to tell myself daily, Joe, the Cybertruck's not going to be in heaven. Joe, the people that you think are so cool and popular that you want to be around, that you want to please so much, I mean, hopefully they're in heaven. But like the status and the aura that they have around them, only Jesus will have that.
Yes.
Only really he should have that in my life now.
Yes.
And so I have to remind myself that those are the things that matter, not this paper-thin, translucent lifestyle that I want to create for myself to make myself look cooler. Like, God's already made me to be a cool person. Just accept that person, and the more I fall into that, God's made you to be cool.
I'm personally super cool.
Yeah.
People look at me like, whoa.
So cool, in fact, that if they touched you, they may think, wow, she may be half dead.
She could be like, is that one eyeball open? Like,
oh my freaking gosh. Okay, girl, we got to move on. Okay, talk about the house right quick.
Okay, so Shay had gotten with Jenny and Dave Mars with Fixer to Fabulous, and my mom and dad had given me my great-grandma's old house and like a few acres with it. And it had a big barn on the end of it. And so they turned it into, the barn is a mother-in-law suite now. And the house is like a big, really nice, stinking sick house, which, let's be honest with ourselves, my sister-in-law is the freaking best because she was like, let's do this for Gabby. Like,
you're talking about Hannah, right? Yeah, Hannah's awesome.
Wife is going to be like, yeah, let's just give all this money to your sister.
Oh, it was her idea.
Well, it was both of their idea.
Yeah. Okay.
But like, you know what I'm saying?
Wow,
like,
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
That's generous.
100%. Yeah.
That is very generous because, he's my brother, but like, she could have kept that for herself.
Yes.
just generous as all get out. And like, I'll be honest, I hope that like they are here every single day of my life. Like, I am so close with my sisters and my brother and my family. Like, I hope that everyone get to experience that,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's not with their parents and stuff. Then when they have kids, they get to experience that closeness.
Yes.
Like, because not everybody's family is close.
Yes.
But you can create one.
Yes, 100%.
You know?
Yeah. Okay, so you got a house.
Yes.
And it's actually, okay, help me understand. Did Erica buy her house close to you first? Or?
No, she actually had an existing house already. And my mom had purchased again my great grandma's house because it was back up for sale.
Yes.
And my great aunt had sold it.
Yes.
And so it was right next to Erica. And she was just like scheming and planning, like, one of these days, Gabrielle might come back.
Yes.
And I did, shockingly.
Wow.
So now me
crazy.
and Erica are right next door to each other. We're adorable.
Yes. Okay. And I don't want to talk about it because it's not my business to share about, but there are exciting things happening in the future that will make where you live even more exciting for y'all
So
too.
exciting.
So-
Compound.
I know. Okay. So let's actually dive into what I call the second layer. This is a fun part of the podcast where we get to peel back the first layer because we've gotten to know her. We gotten to know a lot about you actually personally and professionally, but this is diving a little bit deeper. I doubt we'll go as deep as we've already been into who you actually are. Okay, are you ready to dive into the second layer, my friend? Okay.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. And if I had been quietly watching your journey over the past, I'm going to say 3 years, how would I describe the person who's sitting in front of me today?
Strong.
Yeah? Strong-willed or just strong?
Strong. My muscles are amazing. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
No, honestly, very, I'm not going to say lucky, blessed.
Yeah.
I think, that's the thing that people would look at me and be like, blessed, because number one, you're here. You were given this beautiful home. You got married. He's so lucky. No, I'm kidding. I am the most blessed.
I just heard him laugh in the future in my ear, right? She really said that, huh?
He was so blessed. I graced his presence.
my gosh.
But I think you would say blessed because there is no way that I could have navigated any of that on my own. Like, just blessed.
Yeah. How long into marriage were y'all when that happened?
Oh, we weren't married yet.
Oh.
Yeah. We weren't even married. We were just boyfriend, girlfriend. And he had already moved here.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So, like,
Okay.
he was just my boyfriend. He was like, oh, no.
Yeah.
Like, this girl is going to die.
Oh, my God.
And then I'm stuck here in Arkansas living at her parents' guest house.
That's so crazy. Wow. That's a
So
lot.
he asked me to marry him on Mother's Day. Or no, on Easter. It was on Easter. And so after my brain surgery.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we were not married. In fact, the wedding is on Fixer Fabulous as well.
Whoa.
So yeah, we got married.
I'm sorry I haven't watched this episode.
No,
so
you're
what I've been
good.
doing is I don't know. I've never watched them before. So I
Yes.
started to try to catch up to get an understanding of how the show goes so that I can really respect how cool yours is. Now, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because if I just watch just your episode, I may not understand how special
Right.
it is aside from the others.
Right.
So I need to watch a couple more and then I want to dive into
we
that
got
one.
2 episodes.
Whoa.
Which is really cool, yeah.
Okay.
Because we got the guest house and then the regular house and
That's
a little
so
bit of the
cool.
wedding.
Yeah.
But I was down to elope, to be honest.
Yes.
And my mom and Erica were like, don't you dare.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to take away all our special moments.
Oh
and
my
I was
God.
like,
yeah.
okay, I'm glad we did.
Yeah,
You
for
know,
sure.
we got married on the farm.
That's so sweet.
I know we're so cute.
That's so sweet. Okay, question number 2. How would your daily life look different if money was no longer a concern?
Honestly, it wouldn't look any different.
Yeah.
Not at all. Like, I think that it's just like money is just so trivial.
Yeah.
And like, it's something that I love to work. I love working hard. I love, making money because I enjoy working.
Yeah.
I like people to enjoy my music. I like people to enjoy what I'm doing. But I don't think anything would change at all because going through what I've gone through, money just doesn't fix anything. And the only reason that I love having it is I love being generous.
Yes.
I love to get to be generous to the people that I love. Like, if I could go and buy my niece Ellie a truck, like, I would. You know, if I had no money, I would just spoil them a little more, you know.
What about to a certain point, though? I've talked about this at this point a couple of times with different people, but I'm curious about your thoughts about it. Because people say that money doesn't buy you happiness. And my mindset on that for many, many years now, I don't think I'm there. I'm not there anymore. Definitely not as strongly as I'm about to say it. But when people would say, oh, money doesn't buy you happiness.
But it does buy you security.
Yes. What I would say, though, is I would tell people, F that. Let me go find out myself if it buys me happiness. I'll let you know when I get there.
Well,
but now here's what I think. I think up to a certain point, it doesn't buy you. I think to say money doesn't buy you happiness at a front-facing statement, I don't think that's true.
Yeah.
I think to a certain point, once you get past having enough money to cover your needs,
yes,
I think past that point, it doesn't anymore.
Yes.
And so, like, if you look at, like, and I think it's different for everybody and where you live, but I would say, like, you know, you've been here your whole life. I would say in Fort Smith, you know, if someone's making like $70,000 per person, like, you know, for your household,
right,
or maybe even a little bit less. Let's just say your household is bringing in about 100 or 90 a year. I think that you have everything that you need.
Yeah.
I don't think that if you made more money, it would actually make you more happy.
Right.
I just don't think it would.
Right.
But, you know, in California, absolutely not. Like, just so much more expensive there. So, like, maybe 120, whatever it is.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, probably 120 because it's so expensive there.
Yeah.
So, after 120, I really don't think you would be any happier.
Yes.
But I think you would be happier to know that I'm taking care of my family.
Yes.
You know, because the struggles of life, the fact that people can't live life because of money, I think it infuriates all of us who don't have that struggle.
Yes.
Hopefully it does if you have a good heart. Because you're like, oh my gosh, let me help you get there. I think that's what makes y'all such a good family overall, is that everyone, so far that I've had an encounter with, is like, oh my gosh, this person may not or doesn't have what they need to just get the basic needs met. Let me help be their cheerleader to get them to where they are. Doesn't mean that they're gonna, you know, drop $20K in your bank account.
Right.
They're gonna blah, 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 blah. But it's just help.
Yes.
It's just a little help. And I think that you have to be a certain person in a certain place to be able to provide help that's that helpful to someone.
Oh, for sure.
So, like, money to some extent is important because it helps us help other people.
Oh, yeah.
If you choose to use it in that way, if that makes sense. What do you think?
And my parents, they've always taught us, God blesses you to bless others.
100%, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so my family has had nothing and then they've had a lot.
Yes.
Like, they've gone through both of it. And in each situation, they've trusted God with their money.
Yes.
And I think that's the test of, like, you know, like the people with the talents.
Yes. That was in my head. Yes.
Yes. And it's like, you know, the guy that just buried it and he's like, oh, I didn't do anything with it. Like, it's still here. And the master was just like, okay.
Yeah.
And, you know, then there was somebody with a little more and made a little bit off of that. And it was both of the other ones he was proud of because you did something with what I gave you. And I think that has everything to do with our talents, our money, our everything that God blesses us with. He wants to see that we will use it in the way that he'd be proud of.
Yes.
And that he can bless us more. And then he can bless us more. Because this mentality of, like, we need to be humble and meek and, you know, live, of course. But, like, there is nothing wrong with having dreams and aspirations.
Yes.
And, you know, making more and doing more. There's nothing wrong with that. I think a lot of people are shy about, like, oh, I want to, you know, make a lot of, but I'm just, you know, I'm humble. That has nothing to do with it. It has
100%.
everything to do with you worked your tail end off and God has blessed you with the talent.
Yes, 100%.
You know?
Yeah, 100%.
That you're utilizing. And he'll bless you even more to be able to reach a bigger audience. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, there's ways that God can use you that does require you having more.
Yeah. And I think that it goes even deeper too, because when I think about what the Bible talks about, that gets exponentially larger as the future in life gets more intricate. Like, right?
Yes.
So at that point, like, they weren't talking about, like, I'm even thinking about it from a scientific perspective, because when I think about like what God's blessed me with and all the different talents that I have, I think it goes deeper than even what that story has the time to share, because I feel like, God gave me a talent and I noticed that. But not only did I say, how can I just grow this talent?
Yes.
I began to think in a scientific way, is it possible to split this talent in two? Like, I'm thinking about the talent being like a seed.
Right.
What if I split this seed into two and planted it in this type of soil? Would I grow a new talent? Let's try it.
Right.
And so, like, not only are you growing the talent, you've just split the seed in half and you're growing multiple talents. So now when a farmer comes back and looks at the soil, he's like, dude, I didn't even give you tomato seeds.
Yes.
But you have tomatoes. I didn't even give you peach seeds. But now you have a peach tree. Where did all this come from?
Right.
And I think that is what it means to be a good steward.
Yes.
And I think that your father is a person who's really implanted that in all of y'all.
Yeah.
So now when you look at your life, you're like, oh my gosh, there's a tree of knowledge growing. Wow, she's wise. That didn't come from me. I'm saying from his perspective, he may be like, oh wow, she has so much more wisdom than I had at her age. Where did that come from?
Yeah.
So it took y'all's heart of like, okay, let's take this seed, split it, and grow multiple different fruit.
Yeah.
Grow multiple different trees, but like it really all came from this one person making this one decision to raise us the way that he did. And woman, obviously, like she has. From what I've heard, your mom is very, very wise.
Oh yeah, and
very,
she's a prayer warrior.
Okay.
Oh, she will be on her knees. God will wake her up at 2 a.m. and she's like, "Time to pray."
Yeah. Your whole situation that when she found you, clearly,
That's why I was so scared when I was younger. When I was in high school, I never did anything bad, because like if I was at a party or something, like God would like. The Holy Spirit would just like wake her from sleep. And Mom would be like, "She's at 2, 4, 3, 2." It would just, and you just show up, and you're like.
Is that so you said the difference between you and your sister growing up is that you both were like a little bit sneaky, but you would tell? Did you tell because you were afraid that she would find out?
I didn't do anything in high school.
Okay.
Like 100% not. I was terrified.
Okay, yeah, I would.
My mom had the Holy Spirit on her side.
Yeah, I would.
Like Erica, she was like, "Oh, it's fine. She'll never." I was like, "The Holy Spirit will tell her." She'll wake up at like 1:30 in the morning and be like, "Got it. Okay, I'll be right there." And like, I swear to goodness.
Yeah.
Like
Did you just tell on yourself about stuff that you thought she knew?
Oh, she did know.
Yeah.
Like there ain't nothing
That's so
like
funny.
my parents don't know about. Like I swear to goodness, I'm too honest.
Yeah.
Like
that's good though.
It was just like because the Holy Spirit would tug on my heartstrings and I had to tell him myself.
That's so funny.
Like I'm very sensitive. It's my emotional side. It's probably why I'm a songwriter, because got to get those emotions out.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, if your soul had an age, what would it be and why?
My soul, honestly, I think my soul is still really young. It's, people say they have an old soul or whatever. I think my mind is an old mind.
Yes.
Like I have wisdom from situations that a lot of people haven't gone through.
Like death.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like a lot of things.
Really though, like hearing about your perspective change with even like tangible things on this earth. I mean, that some people have to go through full lifetimes to get to where you're like, this really is crap. You know? So like that perspective, you said when you came back, that was one of the big things. Like, I mean, that's wisdom.
Yeah.
That hopefully now someone is actually listening to. I really do hope so. And picking it up and just like believing in what you say instead of having to go through a death experience in their own life, because they can die in other ways. I've talked about that, but
a soul death.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
But
I think I have my thing is I've always wanted to look at life through the eyes of a child, like Jesus says, like looking at things through the eyes of a child, of still not being. The music industry can definitely jade you.
Yes.
You can be so jaded. And so I've always tried to look at life, no matter how many times I've been screwed over or whatever, like you just look at life with a positivity and a lightness.
100%,
You can never allow yourself to become so hardened that you become the reason that other people become jaded. You know, you have to be mindful of the energy and the spirit you contain and not allow people around you that's going to change that.
Yes, that's discernment.
Preach.
Oh. If you lost everything tomorrow, what's the first thing you would do?
If I lost everything, make my husband go back to work. No, I'm kidding.
Like, hey boy, remember what you got. Don't lose it. Go find my daddy and ask him for more hours.
No, honestly, like, thankfully, if I lost everything, I would just call up my whole family and be like, yo, I'm coming to crash at your place tonight.
Yeah.
You know, like, honestly, I have such a great family that it would be fine.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, like, I would just be like, hey, Ellie, can I share your bed? I'm coming over. Your Aunt Gabby is here.
Yeah.
With Teddy.
I'm glad you have that option.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah.
Exactly.
We pray for people who don't.
Exactly.
What's one thing you wish more people knew about you?
Well, I wish people knew that even though that I'm a very serious artist and all of that, like, I'm not obsessed with the performance side of things. Like, I love performing, but I'm not a huge, like, gotta be out there person.
Okay.
I would rather be at home, and that's the reason I love being a songwriter, because people can listen to the music at home and be like, oh, it's good. But that I'm not an attention seeker.
Wow. Yeah.
Like, a lot of people think that all artists are.
You're just you.
I'm just not. I'm like, that sounds like very exhausting.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
Yeah, for sure. I get that. So you said rather, which is perfect because we're jumping into that
Would you
last
rather?
segment.
Oh.
Would you rather? How do you know that? Did you know that?
Well, no, I didn't. But like when you said rather, I was like, is it a would you rather?
Yeah.
You know, like.
That's so funny. It literally is. Okay. So first one is, would you rather explore every flea market in Arkansas for a weekend or hit every farmer's market across the state in one road trip?
Oh, flea market.
Yeah.
For sure.
Why?
Because there's so many antiques.
Yeah, I know.
I love teaking. Me, Erica, and Hannah, we love our teaking.
Oh my God.
So fun.
You Arkansas growls. Okay. Would you rather write your next single on the front porch of a quiet Arkansas lake house or in a buzzing local bar surrounded by live music?
No, definitely the first one. Gross. Oh, I don't even want to be in a bar.
Yeah. Okay.
That's very overstimulating.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
That's so crazy because you're a musician.
I know. It's so funny because people think that, like, I like to hang out in bars. I'm like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I go perform, but then I'm out. I go back right to bed.
Yeah, I could see like a difference in what people think you should be like an artist and who you actually are.
Yes.
Like, you knowing you now, I'm like, I don't think
Yeah, she ain't going to be doing that.
Yeah, that's crazy. Would you rather spend the day floating down a lazy Arkansas river or riding back roads with the windows down and music blasting?
Back roads.
Yeah. You're a back roads girl.
I love back roads.
That was easy. Would you rather tour Arkansas's best pie shops or its best taco trucks?
Best taco trucks, because I'm allergic to wheat, and so they would have to be very specifically gluten-free on all the pies. That's harder to find than corn tortillas.
That'd be super hard in Arkansas too.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, very last one. Would you rather film your next music video at an old Arkansas church with stained glass or under a neon light sign in a forgotten small town diner? That's sick. Both options are sick.
I'm going to have to go with small town diner because I've already done a church one.
Yes.
So
what was it again?
Bad.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And actually that song, it's so funny. That one actually tells the story about how I found God outside of the church.
Oh, wow.
Like at the very end of it, if you watch the whole thing, like people are just kind of misunderstanding it and be like, oh yeah, she's just dancing around in a church. I'm like, no. I was like, number one, we don't disrespect our Lord. Okay.
Yeah.
But it was to tell the story about how the people in the church judged me.
Oh, yeah.
And then at the very end, you see a hand like with white sheet, and that was Jesus that found me outside. So that's what that music video meant.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for decrypting it for us.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay. So this is the end We finally made it after about 2 hours and 30 minutes of podcasting.
I'm sorry.
No. I love it. I'm all for it. And I hope people are just excited about all this as I am. So can you please, I'm just rolling out the red carpet for you, telling people, give me an option to talk about what you're doing online, where people can find you, any new coming projects you have.
Yes.
All the different things. Talk about it.
So I have several new singles coming out this summer, and you can find it GabrielleMooney.com. Gabrielle Mooney Music is my handle and everything. You can Google me, all of that. But honestly, if you follow me on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook or whatever, I'll be posting all that good stuff. But I'm just excited to connect with new people and people to discover my music. If you like it, awesome. If you don't, no hard feelings.
Yeah. That's
just
awesome.
All of them. No kidding.
So that's where they can find you on Spotify as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Gabrielle Mooney.
Okay, but your real name is last name is Stone.
Gabrielle Stone is my married name now.
Yes.
So boys, I am married. Not interested.
Not interested. You hear that?
Even though I know you're just trying to get to Shay. No. Now I know y'all's tricks.
We're definitely putting the zipper on it now. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it and found some wisdom. Peace.